Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today, we have learned a little bit more about Biden's infrastructure plan. We're going to learn a whole lot more here pretty soon. I think he's going to do an announcement, I think on Wednesday, that talks a lot more about it. But let's talk about what we know now and what stocks are moving and how you can really layer your investments. What I mean by layer is you got some short-term things that can probably make you some money right now. You got some long-term things that we just need some things to shake out in the right way, make some money then. And then we got long-term stuff where you're going to be all right anyway. And in my view, I'm looking at, 2 to 3 months for short term. Obviously, you can do it faster depending on how you want to trade it. Then maybe 3 to 6 months for medium term, long term, 1 year or longer. So I'm going to help you kind of layer those things out as we walk this out. So first, this infrastructure plan, what is it? What is the likelihood that it'll pass? And what is all this stuff being? Right now, a lot of it is speculation. We will not know exactly what is in it until tomorrow. And even tomorrow isn't really the best. It's not going to mean as much. The reason why is because he doesn't really write the bill. He's a president, so he proposes things. It goes to Congress, and Congress adds stuff, takes stuff out. They fight, they complain, and eventually we get something, or eventually we'll get nothing. So there's a risk there. There is a chance. And I don't know how high this chance is going to be. There is a chance that we get nothing out of this, and a whole bunch of smoke is blown about infrastructure. When we talk about infrastructure, we mean roads, bridges, airports, train stations, all the stuff we need to travel to and fro. The good news is this type of thing is popular. We all want better streets. We all want better airports. They're rebuilding LaGuardia, but man, LaGuardia was absolutely trash up until very recently. It was one time, I think it was like must have been like 2019, right before we hit 2020. I took my son, who's actually Thanksgiving. We get to LaGuardia. Was it Thanksgiving? Might have been Christmas. Thanksgiving or Christmas, one of the two. All right. So we get to LaGuardia. It's really early, and we go to like the Southwest terminal, which was like the first terminal we were doing. I think it was Terminal B, if I remember correctly. And we get there, and we're up at like 5 in the morning. I got a little baby with me, and I like just wake up like, oh my God, we're at JFK. It is way too nice here. This is messed up. Now I got to figure out how to get from LaGuardia to JFK at 5 in the morning. Well, it turns out it actually was LaGuardia. It was just so nice that I did not recognize it. So random story of the day. But yeah, we need a lot of infrastructure updates. So this is popular with voters. Just because popular with voters doesn't mean it's going to get passed. We see that all the time. And also the reason why we also don't know whether or not it'll pass is expensive, or it could be expensive rather. At some estimates from like Bank of America and Washington Post, say it could be anywhere between $2 to $4 trillion. It would be spent over a long period of time. We're talking 10 years or more. So that's, you're not paying it all up front. Where are you getting the money from? The money would come from corporate taxes, which that's going to have an impact on the market. Some stocks will fall, some stocks will rise of the specter of higher taxes. Just companies don't like paying taxes like that. So if taxes are higher, then in theory, the stock market drops. However, that's really not the thing that you should be concerned about. The reason is if the government spends $2 trillion, that means that money has to go somewhere. Think about that. That means the money is going to go to some companies to go build some things. So, the market is going to react to taxes, but in reality, if you are, let's say, a Caterpillar, one of the companies we're going to talk about today, you get a slice, and they're not going to get $1 trillion, but you're going to get a lot of that money to go out there and build some stuff. Some, whether small businesses or states or whoever gets this money has to spend that money on building things. Therefore, infrastructure companies are going to benefit anyway. So either way, if it gets passed, it's going to be a good thing for these companies, even though there's going to be some headlines about taxes. Save this video if it gets passed. You know why. And the opposite end, if this does not pass, some of these companies could be dinged. I think some will be worse than others if it does not happen. So this is why it's a short-term thing. If it does get passed, then you can move into a long-term category. So right now, I think it's a short-term plays. Next few weeks, next few months, we'll see what happens. I think you can make some money up until then, or really up until we find out whether or not it passes. So this is definitely something I would put a stop loss on. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to pull this up now just so I can reference. So I have 4 companies total that I think are going to be some of the best performers should this infrastructure bill pass, and at least I think it'll be up and running until we find out a whole lot more. So Caterpillar is the first one. I'd already mentioned Caterpillar. We talked about Caterpillar yesterday. I mean, it's up more than 20%. Actually, let me pull up and see what the exact percentage is. Year to date, Caterpillar up 26.48% rather. Again, that's really good. The market isn't even up 6%, and you're talking about 26% gain. Over the last year, I mean, they were up more than 124%, I think it was, but you're up over 100% on Caterpillar alone. So Caterpillar, I think, is one of the strongest companies. They're already in the Dow, which tells you a lot, right? And they were up last year before infrastructure was even a thing. So something is going right at Caterpillar. It's something you should keep an eye on. I am inching myself and convincing myself more that I should put some money into it. Probably April 1 is probably going to be around that time when I jump in, either April or Good Friday, assuming the market's open. I need to check that out. All right. So next one is John Deere. You'd be surprised. Yeah, John Deere, the tractor company, they do other stuff other than tractors, but they stand to benefit from the infrastructure plan. They're already up 38% on the year. They're inching towards a 40% increase in share price year to date. So January to now, they're already up close to 40%, which is incredible because again, the what we thought was going to do well this year hadn't really panned out just yet. Then you've got MLM, and I want to get this name right because MLM in my head is not a good thing, but the stock. Let me just double check real quick. It's Martin Marietta Materials. So a lot of analysts and a lot of investment banks are saying that it's the steel material companies, it's the equipment companies. These are the companies that are going to do well. So when you go, like if you are building roads and bridges, all that kind of stuff, you're going to need steel, you're going to need materials, concrete, rocks, all that stuff. There are companies that make all this kind of stuff. So a company like that should stand to do well. You've also got United Rentals, URI. United Rentals, if you ever like seen a construction project and you see the huge thing where it says United Rentals on it, a lot of the equipment that they come in and redo, whether it's an apartment, even a house, or a road or a bridge, people rent out that equipment. Like, why would I pay and buy this entire thing? So they're another really good company that you at least want to consider. They're up 46% on the year already. And we've been in this close to 3 months now. Tomorrow's the last day of March. So you can pretty much say 3 months in, at least URI and MLM should at least catch your eye, if nothing else. 43% gain, 38% gain. Then you move down, you got Caterpillar down, right? You're up 26% still. And the MLM I didn't mention, they are the Marietta Materials. They're up 1998. Good year. So 19.98%. All very, very good, but they're good for different reasons. So I think based on what we know now, and again, this is limited information because we have not seen the whole bill and it ain't been to Congress yet, and there's a whole lot of stuff that is yet to be done. So if I'm picking for safety, something that I'm gonna get something now, I think it's going to grow, and then if the infrastructure thing falls through and doesn't do what we expect it to do, then I'm not going to be in a terrible spot. So I think that's more of the Caterpillar spot because Caterpillar had been doing well before. Caterpillar is more of a pick and shovel, so people use Caterpillar equipment not just for infrastructure, but for other things like home building, other things that need repairs. I don't know when hurricane season is again because I'm not a hurricane person, but a tornado person myself. When disasters happen, like you need that kind of stuff to get things back on track, and you need regular maintenance anyway for a lot of these things. So either way, I think Caterpillar is one of the better companies. Of those four, most well-rounded, I'll say that. John Deere would be second on that list. They're up 38%. Farming equipment, we're gonna need that in either case. Like it'll do even better should infrastructure get passed, but like we still gotta eat. And more people go out to work, the less social distance, more vaccines, more farming, more supplies. I forget at what point. I don't know if it was avocados, corn. It was a bunch of stuff we were running out of because we have enough people. Because we had some people who were infected can go out there in the fields and like get agriculture up and running. I'm not a farmer, clearly, but I think of those two, John Deere and Caterpillar are going to be the most insulated. So if it doesn't pass, I think those are going to be some of the better plays. I think the MLM and URI, United Rental. International, whatever, what I'm saying. URI and MLM, I think you're going to make more, you could make more money there, perhaps, especially URI than the one that's up 43% right now. But they'll probably take the biggest hit if things don't go well. So what I'm going to do real quick is just kind of show you this chart and then show you just this year and then show you over the past year. Just kind of give you, kind of get your bearing straight, because it's not as many lines as I had last time. So I didn't want to show it when it has like, 50 lines on it. So let me go ahead and share the screen and let you take a look, and then we can dig more into it. I also got to dig into yesterday's video comments, because I want to make sure that answers many questions and we kind of talk more about these. All right, so this is the year to date. So we've got URI up to 43%. We got MLM. You got just the stock market at just 5%, 5.72. And then you got John Deere up here at 38.98, just year to date. That doesn't really tell us the most in the world, but it does tell us something. So here we go, hit 1 year, and you can see these are vastly different. So you got URI at this point up 259% over the past year. Now remember, context is always key. We're really comparing this because at this time last year, the market had bottomed out and it was at the very, very bottom. Nearly everything took off after that. The market in and of itself at this point, comparing at this point last year, was up 56%. And that wasn't reality, because from January to December, different time period, right? It was only up like 17, maybe 18%. So always I want to give you guys, be clear and give you that context there. However, since the worst part of the market, URI up 259%. You've got John Deere 176, you got Caterpillar 118, and you've got MLM at 88, all well above what the stock market did during this particular time period. So again, I think if I'm looking at it, I really like Caterpillar based on what I'm hearing and based on what I'm seeing right now. Like I said yesterday, I really need to find out what price do I want to get it at. That's really the thing. What price do I want to get it at? How long do I want to hold it? I think these are the questions that you want to ask yourself too. So before you even consider jumping into an investment, whether it's me talking about it or someone else, these are things that you need to walk out in your mind. So does price matter to you? Yes or no? It doesn't have to matter. Okay, it doesn't have to matter. You can get it at 300, you can get it at 315, you can get it at 259. That's totally up to you, because when you hold it is totally up to you. So that's number one. Why are you getting it? Are you getting it for short term? Are you getting it for long term? That matters. And that's going to determine like what your goal is for it. So for me, I think it's more short term. The shorter the term, the shorter I want to buy and kind of really play on this stock, that's when my price really matters for me. So if I know I'm going to be in it for 5, 6, 7 weeks, then I really need to get in the right price, because that's what's going to determine how that, how this works out for me, either good or bad. If I'm gonna hold it for a year or longer, I really don't care. I think it's going to go up, extremely well, right? So it really depends. So I think these companies are great for short term right now, because we do not know. We do not know what's all in the bill, when and if it'll get passed. So that's number one. We move to midterm stocks, and we're talking like 6 months or so. I think that's where the banks come in. You guys know I'm looking at JP Morgan. I'm looking at some of the Bank First, some of the regional banks, maybe a Morgan Stanley, maybe a Goldman Sachs. I really got to kind of pick through there and see which one or two that I like. That's for short term. And I'm still in technology. I'm looking at that for long term. So Apple ain't hot right now, but Apple ain't going nowhere. Same thing with Microsoft, same thing with Amazon. They're going to be here. Regardless if people go outside or don't, they're going to be here. So I'm looking at that for long term, but I am not, looking and expecting that to be the best stock of the entire year. I think this is kind of a value season for them, where I can kind of get in cheap, continue DCAing, and then this time next year after that, I'm like, man, I really got Microsoft at a good price. I really got Amazon at a good price. So this is that time to perhaps consider those for long term, but again, get your expectations in the right place. So again, for short term, I'm looking at these infrastructure stocks. So Caterpillar, URI, I know I slur my words sometimes, MLM, and John Deere. I think that's symbol with DE. That's for short term. You really got to be careful if you're trying to do short term stuff. You don't have to do short term at all. So if you don't know how and you're not ready, that's totally fine. We'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. The Investor Toolkit talks a lot about that in the trading section. So you can check that part out. And then medium term, looking at the banks, we talked about those. We did a whole section on those. And then long term, those legacy tech names, they're not going anywhere. They may not be fancy now, but this could be a time to kind of get you some deals and hold on to them for the long term. But you got to get your expectations right and know your goals. If you jump into this tomorrow and you don't know what your goals are and you don't know what's inside that infrastructure bill and whether or not it's going to pass, you could get burned. So do be careful. Do be careful when it comes to short term, when it comes to playing in the political sphere. So I want to know what's in this plan before I jump into it. I want to know what price I want to get into it. And I also want to know how well have these companies done previously before this started. So we know that URI was up 259%. That's probably pretty solid. That don't mean it's going to be up that same percentage this year. So we'll see. So do your research. Look into the things that you think you need to look into. I'll be looking into some things for myself. If you want me to do an in-depth video or verses on one or two of these, feel free to put that in the comments. I got one from yesterday. We're going to add that one to the list and let me know what you think. All right. Talk to you guys later.